I was fairly surprised when I discovered that my family members were watching a video by Dr. Day, an anti-drug conspiracy theorist and alternative medicine proponent. Being a student of biology, I found her views expressed to be rather silly and potentially dangerous, so I thought it could be beneficial to address her claims. Before I begin, let me sum up her background story. Basically, she was a doctor who, although she didn't work with cancer, seems to have been actually fairly well respected. Then she got cancer. She had surgery, but refused drugs, chemotherapy, and radiation. Instead, she prayed to God and tried different ways of eating. As a result, she almost died, but in the end, God supposedly showed her the 10-step cure to cancer, which she sums up here.
When we learn to truly love our enemies, to do good to those who hate us, to forgive those who hurt us, to love the unlovable, that will cure our heart trouble, and we can get well. When we cultivate an attitude of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, humility, and self-control, it will change our cell structure and bring life and health to a sick and dying body. The right diet is critical for recovery, but that won't overpower an angry or selfish attitude. God is the healer. He just does it through his natural health plan. All 10 steps are necessary for recovery. The good news is you can be well. You don't have to be afraid of cancer anymore. Now you know what causes it, and now you know it can be reversed naturally without drugs.
This 10-step program, along with other claims, is what I'm going to be critiquing in this video. I will not be questioning her background story as others have, because that's not really interesting to me. Her video is about 2 hours in length, so this is not going to be a thorough rebuttal. What I want to do is destroy her arguments, and that can be accomplished without a thorough rebuttal. I will be addressing her claims in the following order. 1. God's total health plan. 2. Conspiracy theories. And 3. Radiation and chemotherapy. A common tactic amongst those who hold a view which is contrary to the scientific evidence is to mix a little bit of the truth with the fairy tale. Nephilim Free, for example, will pretend like genetic research supports his claim that Hox genes cannot change.
This is why morphological change to species does not occur. This is one reason, rather, that it does not occur. It's why random genetic mutation is powerless to cause morphological change to species. Because whenever a deformity occurs to an organism, plant or animal, due to random genetic mutation, because a mutation has affected the homeobox genes, information from the grandparent and sometimes even the great-grandparent is used to repair or replace that homeobox gene, and the organism reverts to its wild type without fail.
Their hope is that their view will seem more reasonable if they can give the illusion of scientific support, even if they know they are going against the scientific consensus of the experts in the field. Let's take a look at a clip.
So what does cause cancer? The medical establishment seems to be continuously scratching their heads wondering what the causes could be. And they're really only looking in one place, and that's genetics. But cancer is not genetic. A genetic link can clearly be disproved in almost every case just by a little common sense. Here's an illustration. Breast cancer. Since the early 1900s, the incidence of breast cancer has continued to rise dramatically. All the experts and national medical organizations agree. Well, in the early 1900s, it was the grandmothers of today's women who were alive, your grandmother and my grandmother. But they had a very low incidence of breast cancer compared to their granddaughters, we who are alive today. Clearly, if the incidence of breast cancer is rising dramatically, it cannot be due to a genetic transmission from one's ancestors, because the ancestors of the women today rarely had breast cancer.
It's hard to know how to begin answering this because she doesn't clearly distinguish between hereditary and a genetic link. neither case she's wrong. The hereditary link is not as straightforward as simply inheriting cancer, as her question seems to assume. There is simply a higher chance that a mutation will damage one of the genes that control cell growth. These genetic links are well known. Scientists aren't just guessing. Two well-known examples are the BRCA1 and the BRCA2 genes, which are known to be associated with a 75% increased chance of developing cancer. This isn't just a coincidence, and it's really not subject to debate at all. One of the most exciting areas of medicine is personalized medicine based upon our genetic makeup. The future of medicine is going to be highly personalized using genetic tests on microarrays. And with these microarrays, you're going to be able to find out if you have genes which are prone to cancer. This is the future, whether Dr. Day likes it or not.
This booklet is published by the American Cancer Society. It's a cancer journal for clinicians. This is the November-December 1999 issue, and it says on page 347 that a third of all cancers could be prevented by a change in diet and lifestyle, by increasing the intake of fruits and vegetables and reducing the consumption of red meat and animal fats, and by exercising. They add that there is a wealth of new data on diet and cancer in the last 2 decades, and that's continued to support the hypothesis that nutrition is a major influence in the cause and prevention of cancer. And that's a quote. Well, how about that? The American Cancer Society finally admits that what you eat actually has something to do with how healthy or how sick you are. Imagine that. The Harvard School of Public Health makes even more dramatic statements. They admit that 65% of all cancers could be prevented by a change in diet and lifestyle. I believe that a change in diet and lifestyle would prevent 99.9% of all cancers, but these other organizations are at least recognizing the truth somewhat.
We can clearly see that she is correct regarding the fact that many cancers can be prevented by living a more healthy lifestyle. This is supported by many scientific studies, as her quotation shows. I'm not going to dispute that, but this research does not support her position. In any other context, you would find this statement to be stupid. By your logic, we could say, Gallup announced today, 50% of all Americans are conservatives. I believe 99% of all Americans are conservatives, but at least they're admitting the truth somewhat. That makes no sense whatsoever. Yes, they're admitting some people are conservatives, but that does not in any way support the claim that 99.9% are conservatives. In the same way, these organizations are not in any way supporting your position. That said, even if 99.9% of all cancers could be prevented by a healthy lifestyle, this does not support the entire point of your video, which is to provide God's 10 steps to reverse cancer. But she's not done. Listen to this little gem of logic.
Now let's use a little common sense. If, as both the American Cancer Society and the Harvard School of Public Health say, that a change in diet and lifestyle could prevent between 1/3 and 2/3 of all cancers, then how do you reverse cancer once you have it? Well, first of all, you stop putting into your body the things that cause the cancer in the first place.
Obviously, not doing things that will harm your body is a good idea, but this will not necessarily reverse all cancers. All you have to do is apply your logic to another medical case. If falling from high places break your bones, then how do you reverse broken bones once you have them? Well, obviously, all you do is stop falling from high places. Yeah, that doesn't really work. Yes, it's a good idea to stop falling from high places, but if you have broken bones, or if you have cancer. You go to a doctor for medical attention. You have to actually test your predictions. You can't just assume that it's going to be like this. And that's really the problem with your entire argument. You have no evidence. If Dr. Day really thinks that this is the cure for cancer, rather than trying to profit from a few people who are sick and dying of cancer and potentially causing them even a greater chance of death and pain, as previous reports seem to have suggested, the way to really prove her 10-step plan in a way that millions of people will receive her miracle treatment is to actually do the research and submit the results to be reviewed by experts in the field. There is no doubt in my mind that she would receive a Nobel Prize for curing cancer. You can only reach so many people with these videos. The fact that you didn't gleefully present some organization finally coming out of the closet to support your view leaves me to doubt that any research supporting your position exists. There is no reason to believe her. None whatsoever. Now, if you thought her previous claims were stupid, you haven't seen anything yet. I'm not even going to comment on the following. Just watch.
The wisdom of man is foolishness with God. One of the most brilliant minds alive today, one of the most fabulous intellects of this century, a theoretical physicist of worldwide reputation, considered to be the greatest genius since Einstein, is confined to a wheelchair with Lou Gehrig's disease. He can't talk, and he can't care for himself because he doesn't understand God's 10 simple laws of health. He has all the knowledge of the world, but he doesn't know how to be well. The wisdom of man is foolishness with